Okay, so this one has been a long time want. We've been dying to pit these two cars against each other, but we figured even that wasn't enough. And not just by me, by a few people on the internet as well, who are ready to hit me with a bat if need be. Heck, even an immigration officer from Terminal 3 asked Vincent and I when this shoot was gonna happen. And to him, I said, soon. The rise of the 7-seater MPV's functionality, versatility, and popularity has brought soon to today. Damn, that's heavy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
The seasoned veteran of the bunch, the Honda BRV made its debut on Philippine shores quite some time ago. Now, with little changes since then, it has become Honda Cars Philippines Incorporated's second most popular car for 2018. The BRV is equipped with a 1.5 IV tech that produces 120 horses and 145 Nm of torque. This SCVT modulo is available at 1,072,000 Philippine pesos, which goes to show, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hailing from the #1 car company in the Philippines, the Toyota Rush, or Baby Fortuner as some like to call it, has quickly become a staple for Toyota on Philippine roads. Under the hood is a 1.5-liter 4-speed automatic transmission that produces 102 horses and 134 Nm of torque. This G variant is available at 1,070,000 Philippine pesos, and I gotta say, this thing looks good. And now the relative newcomer that started this delightful little truel, and I do mean delightful in every sense of the word, the Xpander, which has slowly but surely started to show its cuts and curves on Philippine roads ever since it made its debut in 2018. It's powered by a 1.5-liter 4-speed automatic that produces 105 horses and 141 Nm of torque. This GLS Sport variant is available at 1,060,000 Philippine pesos. Shiny! Oh, and big, huge ups to Mitsubishi Diamond Motors Incorporated for hooking us up with the Xpander. You guys are awesome people. It's good to have you at AutoDeal. Of the three, the BRV has probably got the most current look of them all. It's got a very calming and familiar face to it. The halogen headlamps, the strong grille, the fog lamps, and the LED DRLs found directly underneath, which are probably more style than functional, especially when you're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic in Metro Manila. Now down the side, it's got skirts just like it does up front. It's got lines that are slightly elevated, repeaters on the side mirrors, a slightly elevated roof rail, and 16-inch mags that have 195/60s on. Now the Rush, on the other hand, has a more advanced design, a sort of peek into next year's car, today. It's got an arched hood with waves on it, a sleek LED headlamps, a grille with equal spaces, and fog lamps to boot. Now down the side, it's got lines that are much calmer. It's got chrome on the windowsills, repeaters on the mirrors, body-flushed roof rails, and 215/60s on 17s. The most futuristic front clip of the bunch, the Xpander looks like it belongs in the halls of Tomorrowland with its dynamic shield design. Now up top, you've got LEDs, but on the bottom, an all-halogen affair, from its headlamps that are stuck inside the bumper to its fog lamps down below, found by the skid plate. Now, you can't miss the broad panels above the wheel wells. In fact, they probably dwarf the lines on the sides. You've got chrome accents on the sill, chrome accents on the mirrors, which have repeaters as well, and it sits on 16s that have 205/55s. All three models offer almost the same amount of space when the third row is in play, which is to say in the region of 220 liters. The layout after the third row has been folded is where it differs. In the BRV, with the third row folded, you can fit 2 balikbayan boxes. Snug, but they do fit. There are some air pockets that can be found in the back, but that's mainly for the floor mounts of the chairs and the side panels on the doors. But really, 2 balikbayan boxes will definitely fit without impeding the view of the driver. Impressive. The Rush 2 folds in the same movement, but offers even more space. 2 balikbayan boxes, not a problem, and enough space to fit our bulky camera equipment and a beer for Vincent. Very impressive. The Xpander, on the other hand, differs because the seats fold flush, allowing you to maximize the space of the cargo hold, which can fit 2 balikbayan boxes, 5 gallons of water, our camera equipment, our audio equipment, a beer for Vincent, and of course, a beer for yours truly. Most impressive. Oh, and because we can, night shot! I just love doing that. The third row on all three cars have pretty much the same level of comfort, good for jaunts. Jump seats for 2 smaller sized individuals, 5'6" and below, and cup holders on either side, plus the rear speakers. Now, so asking someone 6 feet tall to demonstrate how to get in and out, plus sit, recline, and test the third row of all three cars is a bit of a hassle, especially under this heat. But it sure is funny to see him try. The BRV has no toys to speak of here in the second row, no center armrest, just bottle holders on either door. Your standard air and air controls can be found on the ceiling, which really can be found on all three cars. However, the amount of headroom and legroom is massive and very, very impressive. There is also very limited bolstering on the shoulders, which makes getting in and out of the car much easier, especially for senior citizens. And I must mention that the seat material on this car, well, it kind of resembles corduroy. It's a trip, really. However, not as warm, which is nice. The Rush has a pair more cup holders and a pair more speakers that can be found for the rear cabin. It also has a 12-volt socket that can be found in the back, and the bolstering on the seats are ever so little. Now, the headroom is acceptable, and the legroom much more. Legroom, however, might be compromised by the third passenger if you do decide to take one, because they will have to compromise for the tunnel in the center. Lastly, there are these plastic accents that can be found on the door, the white ones. Some people like it. I'm not so sold on it, really. It does have a center armrest, I'll give it that. But here in the back, the Xpander has no other toys other than the bottle holders on each door. However, you do have excellent head and leg room, look at this, for much taller passengers. And there are bolsters for your shoulders. And the accents on the door, not too shabby. The seasoned veteran, believe it or not, has got the most advanced interior. 3 cylindrical gauges, 2 of which are analog and 1 digital trip computer, a 7-inch infotainment system with a USB input which fits very nicely into the dash, I might add, a well-groomed set of air controls, a 12-volt socket, 5 bottle holders for the front seats, audio controls on the steering wheel, and a pair of airbags. It does have a reverse sensor, however, it is unfortunately devoid of a reverse camera and push-button start. However, this thing can still keep up with the new kids on the block. LSS. ABS, electronic brake distribution, hill start assist, and vehicle stability assist all complement the BRV S Modulo. Now, when you do get inside the driver's seat of the Rush, you will notice that there is a constant lumbar support arc, which might take some time to get used to. Once you do, however, the seats are pretty comfortable and very well bolstered. A pair of analog gauges flank a digital trip computer, a 7-inch infotainment system with USB and auxiliary inputs that fits very well into the dash, a reverse camera, very simple air controls, 12-volt socket, a total of 7 bottle holders up front, audio and phone controls on the tilt steering wheel, and a push-start button. This thing has got 6 airbags found all around. 6! Now, again with the white plastic accents. Just like the back, I'm really not so sold on it. It kind of breaks the whole flow of the car. And this gear level too. kinda skinny. Reminds me of Slim from A Bug's Life. Right? Other tech on the Rush includes ABS, electronic brake distribution, hill start assist, and vehicle stability control system. Now, the Xpander has got a notch up on average when it comes to the interior. Same deal with the gauges, they're analog. But in the center, you'll find a multicolored trip computer, 7-inch infotainment with a reverse camera, 3-notch air controls, USB and auxiliary inputs beside the 12-volt socket, cubby holes with a nice retracting cover, 6 bottle holders in total up front, audio and phone controls on the tilt and telescopic steering wheel, a pair of airbags, and a push-button start. You've also got nav and cruise control. Very nice touch. What isn't such a great touch are the smudge magnets found on the steering wheel and on the gear lever. Nothing great, really, nothing spectacular. However, like the accents on the doors in the back, the accents can be found on the doors up front and on the dash, and they are choice. This Xpander GLS Sport also comes equipped with ABS, electronic brake distribution, hill start assist, and active stability control. The first thing that hits you when you get inside the BRV is how comfortable you are when you're sitting inside. It's got the lowest seating position, and really when you're driving either inside the city or outside the city, it is very stress-free because it feels like you're really driving a car. NVH might need a little help. See, the cabin noise does creep up on you, especially at high speeds. In fact, you might actually turn around and look at the rear windows to see if they're actually open when you're driving. So that could use some help. Now, the most impressive thing about the BRV is the combination of the iVTEC and the CVT. It produces the most horsepower, it produces the most torque, and yet is still the most fuel efficient of the three, coming in at 18.1 kilometers per liter. Wow! I'm not gonna lie to you. With the cabin full, getting to speed, that engine will get very, very loud. But since it does have the highest output, you know that you'll get there the fastest. Now, the Rush is the only body-on-frame chassis in this Comparo, apparent with its high ground clearance. Unfortunately, that means that handling isn't its best suit because the back tends to be very bouncy and it does have slight body roll when you're going through tight turns. Insulation may need a little bit of help. Engine noise will definitely creep in, especially on the highway when you hit 100 kilometers per hour and your engine revs are at 3,000 RPM. Though still at 3,000 RPM, it's still able to produce 16 kilometers per liter and the transmission shifts very, very well. Amongst the three, the Rush has the highest seating position. Others might find that to be a problem because they might have a hard time getting the right driving position, while others will probably welcome it, like myself, because then it gives you a sense of security and a better view of the road. Now, when the cabin is full, your right foot, yes, will turn to lead to be able to muster all the horses that you can get your foot on to be able to get this thing moving. But worry not, you'll eventually get to speed. The Xpander is certainly the most planted amongst the three. The steering is right most of the time, and it is also the lightest amongst the three. Now, the monocoque chassis minimizes body rolls so that the spirited driving that you want to do when you get out of town, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Now, while the Xpander is a 4-speed automatic, it does do its best to be able to maximize the engine power that it does have, being able to produce 16.12 kilometers per liter. It's quiet and very nice on long drives. Oh, and the cruise control, yeah, that's a huge plus. Now, the seating position of the Xpander is neither the highest nor the lowest amongst the three. It slots in just in the middle. The bonus is that it does have a telescopic steering wheel, which means you can get that much closer to your perfect driving position. Now, with the full cabin, the Xpander is still fun to drive, albeit the engine is probably having a harder time getting you going. But again, it is a 1.5 liter after all. This is an Xpander, not an Evo. Now, while all of these cars have promos available on the AutoDeal website, now comes the difficult part. Like the Highlander, there can be only one, right? Well, it's not that easy. Every family or every driver has different needs, catered by different cars. There is no one perfect car for everybody. In the Xpander, you've got technology such as nav and cruise control, plus all that space in the back. You can do whatever you want with it. That's pretty awesome. In the Rush, looks alone, pretty awesome. High ground clearance, LED lights, and six airbags. Not bad. In the BRV, you've got a CVT with the highest power output and the best fuel economy. So, what's it gonna be? Not that I'd mind giving it to all three simultaneously, but personally, I'm gonna go for the Xpander. The tech for me and the space for my family is really what gets me sold. Plus, at a price point that is more affordable than the competition. And it drives more planted too. Now, the real winner here could actually be the dealer that calls you back first, because these guys are a hot commodity.